Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We are happy to have you here. Today, we have three real estate brokers representing three different cities and areas of our county. The first of which is Dave Ramey with Coldwell Banker in Port Angeles. The next is Michael McAleer with Remax Prime in Sequim. And then we also have Don Grafstrom with Professional Realty Services in Forks, and he'll also cover the market on the west end of the county. So before we get started, I'll just quickly review that please put yourself on mute, and if you have a question, you can either put it in the chat and I'll call on you, or you can raise your hand electronically and I'll call on you. I prefer that the person with the question ask the question themselves. And so after each person presents, we'll just take a quick moment for anyone to ask any questions. And then at the end, we'll have, I've also got, John Ralston, who's got a project in Port Angeles that he'll describe briefly, that is a apartment complex opportunity. So, so with that, thanks so much for the three of you for joining us today. Really appreciate that. I know your time is valuable. And so I think we'll start with Dave, if you'd like to go first and give us a brief overview of what you've been seeing in the Port Angeles real estate market.
Okay. Better to go first, then I won't know how bad it's screwed up until afterwards. So I don't think it's any mystery that the market's out of whack. So I've been licensed for 45 years, so I've seen a lot of strange markets. I'd put this as probably the strangest one yet. So the market is nothing more than supply and demand. And the reason prices are jumping, and everybody's heard that, houses have sold for 10, 20, 30% more than they were listed for, and that there's multiple bids and just all kinds of craziness going on, and all that unfortunately is true because there's no supply, but the demand has remained the same. And so some of the stuff I wanted to share with the Port Angeles market, which is from McDonald Creek to the other side of Joyce. Currently, as of yesterday, there were 113 active listings. That's across every category. There's 115 pending sales, and there are 515 closed sales.
You awake so early?
I got business.
Say that, will you say those stats again for us, Dave?
Okay, sorry. And I'm sorry, I didn't realize I needed to provide charts, but
oh, you didn't. It's fine.
113 active listings across all categories: multifamily, residential, land, commercial. All this totals 113 active listings, 115 pending listings, and 515 closed sales. Average day on market for those is 56. The median is 6. So kind of gives you a hint of what's going on. But most people are interested in homes. And that's where probably about 70% of the market takes place. So if we look at homes, there are currently 48 active listings. There's 87 pending listings, and there's been 375 closed sales to date. Average days on market.
And real quick, Dave, so when I think you ought to explain what pending is versus active. And when you say how many are closed, is that since January 1st?
Correct, year to date.
Okay.
These are, the pendings and the close are just the current situation, and the closed sales are year to date. So a pending sale is basically somebody has accepted an offer. It could be contingent, it could be non-contingent, just waiting to close. It just anything where somebody has written an offer to a seller and the seller has accepted it. And so some of those won't close, many of them will, most of them will actually. So average days on market for residential properties is 18 and the median is 5. So currently, the average sales price of a home in Port Angeles is $391,900. A median price, and the median is just absolutely the exact middle property of all the ones there. You know, that means there's so many above 360 and the equal number below 360. Is the median is 360. Year to date, that price is as an average price is up 12.4%. But the median is up 18%. So that's kind of what's going on. As an example, last year at the end of the year, the average or the average price was $348,900 and the median was $305. There were a total of 579 sales and the average days on market was 41. So as you look at supply and demand, obviously the supply is being sucked up pretty fast. And so one of the things I did, I think it's helpful to realize where we've come from to get where we're at. So I'll give you some examples. 2007 was the previous peak in the real estate market before it all came unraveled. And back then in 2007, there were 380 active listings. And on that particular month, 35 sales. So that kind of gives you a hint at what we're looking at. So the things have changed, and unfortunately, it's a little bit uncomfortable for everybody because what the realtors are experiencing is writing 5, 6, 7 deals for a purchaser and going nowhere because there's all, numerous competing offers. So the market dropped from 2007 to 2012. The average price of a home in Port Angeles lost 34.7% of its value. And if you look at the median, that was 32.1%. So that was the bottom, was 2012. And then things finally started to recover. So if we go to the end of 2011, when and at that date there were 335 active listings, and so this was the bottom. There were 26 sales. So lots of reasons why we're where we're at as far as where things are going. I do know from experience that all markets correct one way or the other. So we're in what has previously been challenging ground, which is a little bit of a precursor to what happened in 2006 and 7. So that's where we're at. right now. I had somebody say to me that realtors are driving up the price of homes. Absolutely not. I haven't talked to a single realtor yet that thinks this market is good for anybody, including realtors. It's challenging. You have a lot of disappointment with your clients. And to have to write 5 or 6 or 7 offers to get something finally accepted means you're working 5 times as hard. So that's kind of where we're at in Port Angeles.
Thanks, Dave. So of those offers that you see, how often do the sellers accept a offer with financing versus an all cash sale?
Well, you know, you would, you know, if a financing offer was $20,000 higher than a cash sale, the majority of sellers would accept that. But if an offer is just a few $1,000s higher than a cash sale, obviously they're going to go with the sure thing versus, you know, the unknown of financing. There's so many pieces of financing that can go wrong. Septic inspections, you know, the home inspection, roof inspection, all the rest of that, if you can have a cash sale where there's not going to be those things, obviously it's smarter to take the cash sale and move on, and they close quicker.
How often are you in Port Angeles seeing problems with the appraisals, with this market just skyrocketing? And if there is financing,
surprisingly, I have not seen any. And I'm not quite sure how the appraisers are doing it, because there are, you know, some frequently no real comps that would say the house is worth what it's sold for. I mean, the other day, you know, well, better not speak out of turn here. Let's just say you see a house that's listed for $400,000 and the final price, and the $400,000 appears to be a fair value. Showed the house, looked at it. I think that's a good value. I think that's right. And there's 6 or 7 offers, and the final sale price is $450,000. I don't know where the appraiser comes up with the extra $50,000, but I have not seen problems with it.
Okay. We can ask questions of Dave later on if you want, but does anybody have any questions of him right now? Otherwise, thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Michael, do you want to go next and talk about the Sequim market? And go ahead and share your screen if you'd like. I think you might, oh, go ahead.
Is that it?
Nope, that is not it.
Great. Glad we tested this out.
So I stopped your sharing. So try it again. And before you just click, go share screen and then select your PDF document.
Okay. Which I thought I just did. So sharing screen, and we'll bring it back up. Okay, and I can also just talk about it, but let's see. Did that do it?
Not yet.
Okay. All right, well, you can, I can talk about it, or we can move on to Dawn and I can try to figure it out.
Dawn, do you want to go? Or I could pull it up on my end for you, Michael.
Screen number 3, trying to make it screen number 1. Not really sure how to do that. I've got too many screens.
I'm ready if you want to.
Yeah, go for it, Don.
Go now, or
Yes,
Oh.
great. Thanks, Don.
Okay, well, I certainly can relate to Mike. That's why I have my helper here to help me wade through when I have those same issues. But I'm gonna just say good morning to everybody. It's a beautiful day out here on the West End, and there's not a lot of real estate to sell, so that could be looked at as a good thing and a bad thing. But I will say the inventory out here is improving. Back in, let's see, what month was it? February. There was 4 times as many realtors as there were homes for sale.
Wow.
That's not a good thing.
Was
there
that
was-
in Forks or?
There were
just-
2 stick-built homes within the Forks zip code. So that includes not just Forks and the urban growth area, but also the people that get their mail somewhere through there. So we have improved now to July, the Northwest. And I just want to say that all of the information that I'm going to be presenting is from the Northwest MLS, which is the multiple listing service that the majority of houses are sold through out here. There's 4 companies out here on the West End, and all of them belong to the Northwest MLS. We see it more and more where realtors from the Port Angeles area or Sequim area will venture out to Forks, which is really a sign of the market, because I've been doing this for 29 years and I have never seen that many realtors come from the eastern side of Lake Crescent. So, but let me see if I can share something here. Let's see. Sure, I had my, okay, share my screen. Here we go. Where to go?
It's the info sparks.
This one right here. Okay, share it. Is that appearing?
Yes, it sure is.
Okay, so this is the closed sales in our area, and so I have 2 things up here. I have Clallam County, and then I have the Forks market. And so the Forks market is a pretty large area, in my opinion. It goes from just east of Nia Bay, following Highway 112 and coming down Burnt Mountain. So going through Clallam Bay, CQ, going down into Sappho where Highway 113 meets 101. And then we do go east from there as far as Lake Crescent. And then coming back to the Sappho area, we would go south as far as probably the Quinault Reservation. But it's a pretty big area. That's why when computers really started taking hold, it saved a lot on gas out here, that's for sure, because and a lot of time, we're able to share so much more with our clients and help them make an informed decision without spending half a day driving up somewhere that, before they even get there, they know, no, I don't want to do this. So closed sales here. So we have a green line down at the bottom, which is the Forks market. And so in January of 2018, we were like at 75 in the Forks area. And now we're in July of this year, we were at 153. So, double, but on a graph like this, it really doesn't show as a huge movement in the graph, but we have a tendency out here to be a lot more stable. We rise slower, we fall off slower. We're usually, I would say, a couple months behind the Seattle area market. It it is a unique situation out here, in my opinion. You know, realtors or brokers out in this area have a tendency to sell a wider variety of properties than maybe in other markets where someone might just focus on a certain neighborhood or single family homes, where out here the majority of brokers deal in raw land and even commercial properties. So so these are the change in here. So this shows you something in the Clallam County in general. If you notice the upper line there, that's homes for sale. Well, Forks's green line down at the bottom has also gone down, but not nearly to the percent. So here's from January 2018 in Clallam County, where they were at 739, and now they're down, Clallam County is down to 245. And, you know, again, I just want to say that data is only as good as, I guess, the program that's written for it, or, you know, what you're including in that data. So I'm sure that other sources might come up with a slightly different number than some of these, but this is the general trend out here for sure. Here's an interesting one here. So this is the median sales price of a home. So back in 2018, Clallam County had 235 for a median price. And now they're at 320. So in that same amount of time, Forks has gone from 126 only up to 160, but you'll see that huge number, or huge kind of mound in the middle there. That was back during the time when there was no inventory, you know. So we had a median price of 215, and now we're down to 160. But that's also an indication of how many houses are being sold out here, because just a couple of larger sales are going to make a huge impact on the market, you know. And I just wanted to touch on some things that are having a huge impact on the market out here. And I don't know how it's working in Sequim or the Port Angeles area, but with the COVID and a combination of increase in tourism and government regulations, so we have kind of a perfect storm for a disaster, in that people that are in long-term rentals right now don't have to pay their rent. And so they haven't been paying their rent for a long time. So when there was an opportunity sometimes for a property owner to sell that rental, maybe they're going to sell it to somebody that's going to use it as a rental, but they're going to use it in a different way. They're going to use it as an Airbnb or a vacation rental. And that has really changed the market out here. We find right in the middle, there is nothing in the zoning that I'm aware of that prevents people from renting their house out overnight. And so we find in the middle of residential neighborhoods, an investor will come in and buy a 3-bedroom home and put it on vacation rental, and you don't know who your neighbor is next door, but they've also taken off the availability of housing for some of our important residents here in the community. Doctors, teachers, law enforcement. So people are coming to this area, they're being offered a high-paying job, but they're still not able to find housing, you know. And so the rents continue to go up, and it's pretty hard to to resist the vacation rental market when you're looking $200 to $300 a day for a home, and you might get $1,200 to $1,500 for that same home on a monthly basis. If you're on the upper end of the rental market, but there's just such a demand for the vacation rentals that it's kind of nice because it's made opportunity for some people to rent something out and have a little income that they couldn't bring in from their normal job, especially during COVID. So right now, let's see what else I'd like to share here.
Don, do you have the change in prices or number of listings from on a percentage basis? Or is it just the data?
I have a percentage of the list price versus what it's sold for here.
Okay.
So that has gone, well, for Forks, it's actually just about right. It went down, and like I say, our lines in a lot of these graphs have a tendency to jump up and down a lot more just because of the number of sales we have. To me, here's an interesting thing. So the average number or the median days on the market out here have gone from back in 2018, 74 days, and we're down to 33 days. And that's lumping them all together, and in the same time, Clallam County as a whole has gone from 38 down to 12. So.
Got it. Okay, so are you seeing, so in the Forks area, where would you generally say, and if you can, where are the buyers coming from? Are they, and do first-time home buyers have a shot at getting a home? Or are they, because typically first-time home buyers aren't all cash. And so how are you seeing that dynamic, considering they have to get financing? Sometimes it's FHA financing, that kind of thing, versus an all cash buyer that's buying it as a Airbnb or VRBO rental.
Well, I would say that the majority of brokers in our area will advise someone that's thinking about buying a home to first get pre-approved, and that's a really important thing for people to realize, that you're not going to be able to negotiate very well with someone on the price of their home if you can't even prove that you'll be able to pay what you're offering. So, we encourage people to get pre-approved for a loan, and I feel like if someone's been pre-approved for a loan, they're holding up pretty well with a cash buyer. I would agree with Dave that where he says that if there's a huge difference in price, the cash buyer is gonna beat out the other ones. But we've actually had some recently where I was happy that the seller actually said, well, this is a local family. They've been pre-approved for the loan. So I'm going to go with that. We have seen a lot of influx from California and Texas. Houses are they're worth a lot more money down there. We've seen people moving into the area also because they've found that they can work remotely, and in some ways Forks has access to some some pretty good connectivity. You know, I know more and more people are using Starlink, but then we also have fiber in the area. It doesn't go everywhere, but so we have people that are able to work remotely, moving here from other areas, and they're able to outbid someone around here. We've also seen people taking advantage of the low interest rates in a couple of different ways. Some of them are doing a home equity loan on their place, their primary residence, then they're drawing that cash out and coming out here and buying a second home for cash. And, you know, because the interest rates are so low. The interest rates are also a big reason why prices have gone up a lot, in my opinion, just because people have a tendency to spend what the bank says will lend them, you know, and that always bothered me in going into a car dealership where someone said, well, what kind of payment can you afford? And I always say, well, I'm not interested in the payment. I'm interested in the price of the house. But I know in that way, I'm not normal. There's probably other ways I'm not normal also, but, you know, so people are buying what the interest rate will allow them to buy. But a concern I have, and I'm going to agree with Dave, where he said people don't feel that this market is healthy, because what happens when inflation starts taking hold? And I think most people will agree that, you know, inflation will start taking hold, and then we're going to see people in the same line of work that aren't getting an increase in salary, that now they can't afford the house that the person moved out of that had the same job for the same wage.
Mhm.
Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, it does. So are most of the people that are getting financing, is it fixed rate financing or variable rate?
By far fixed rate financing. So,
Okay.
we don't, most people aren't going to even consider a variable, because there's not much variance in which way the rates can go,
Mhm.
they're probably only going to go up. So, and we went through and looked at the prices for how many people were paying cash versus other types of loans. And I will say that it is a good mix out in our area. There are, I would say, the higher priced homes tend to go for cash more than the lower priced homes. And that in some ways is counterintuitive, but people that are looking for a second home a lot of times don't have a problem paying $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 for that second home, when their primary residence. I looked at one the other day. The place they moved from was or their home was $2.4 million. So for them to come up here and pay $500,000 for a second home doesn't seem unreasonable to them. So.
Okay. Well, thank you, Don. We do have some items in the chat, but I think a lot of those questions apply to everyone. So I think we could kind of go through them towards the end after Michael presents about the Sequim market. And so Michael, are you ready? I can share the screen if you'd like on my end. I've got it pulled up here.
I might be able to too. Give me a second.
Okay. Yep.
That did come up?
Yeah, it sure did. Do you want to do that little caret again to broaden the, yep. Great.
If I pull this over here, can you still see it?
Yes. No, can't see that now. Went away.
No problem. All right. So you'll just have to see the left side of my face while I turn this way, which is my better side anyway.
So real quick, Michael McAleer is my brother, not my husband. And he works and Mike McAleer is not my husband either. I've had a lot of people ask me that. He's my father. Full disclosure, I did work with my dad and my brother for about 10 years in Sequim at Team McAleer before I went to the port and then Washington Business Alliance. So I know this guy pretty darn well. So thank you very much, Michael, for sharing your report that you provide to your clients.
You're definitely welcome. Good morning. We've been putting this quarterly report together for a long time, since 2004, and it was actually Colleen that started it. She was the techie of the group. She had that computer science degree from the 80s, which means she's really good at Atari, and was also able to put together this report. We've kept it up, and we have a distribution list of about 300 people, a lot of appraisers, people like that, and for our clients, and happy to share it with people. If you want, just get on our distribution list. It's a good way to kind of see where we are, where we're going. You can make your own predictions as to where we're going. I'll go ahead and share this. As I pull down, you can see that, yes?
Yep.
Okay. So this is the median price. We do it by quarter. And this kind of tells the tale.
Michael, we're missing the bottom section. So if you
see that?
could, can you expand the whole thing? Top right. Expand.
Yeah, no, this is expanded.
Oh, it is? Okay. Maybe it's just on my screen then.
Yeah. What about that?
How about if I try? I'm going to try to. Okay, that's better. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, well, I'll show you the top there. That number, the median price for the last quarter, second quarter of 2021, was $488,000 in Sequim. That's a lot. So historically, if you go back and look, it was not that long ago. Our previous high, as was stated earlier, was 2007. But the highest we ever got to in that last, what they were calling a bubble, was 317,000. We fell apart, of course, as did the rest of the world. In 2008, we kind of saw the writing on the wall, frankly. You could, a lot of the same things that we're seeing now, we were seeing then. I will say there are some differences, and I'm happy to talk about those. But just looking at the numbers and the appreciation and how the median price has just ballooned, especially in this last year. It's not only that it's gone up, it's the rate of appreciation that has been pretty crazy. We actually saw about a 15% increase going from May to June. And June in Sequim, there were 71 home sales. So it's not like it was a small sample size, but our median price in June alone with those 71 sales was $550,000, which is just, unprecedented. It's historic for sure. We generally, as we look back at this, if you look, going all the way back to World War I, these real estate cycles have gone, generally speaking, with some exceptions, in 6, 7, and 8 year cycles. If you look back now, here we are in 2021, our low, we fell apart in 2008. We lost, generally, most people in Sequim lost about 33% of their value over the next few years. So obviously, if you were one of those people that put 20% down, you were underwater. And so going back, you could say that the lowest median price for a year was 2011. There was a really low quarter there in 2013. But if you think if 2011 was the bottom, and it looks like kind of 11, 12, and 13, we hovered around the same low spots in terms of values. That's either 8, 9, or 10 years ago, depending on which year you're looking at as the low. And so historically, these markets going in 6, 7, and 8 years, if we're in either year 8, 9, or 10 now, you could say, or what's coming. And so lot of crystal balls out there for sure. I have been incorrectly predicting that this market was going to turn south for a few years now. So I'm done doing that. I'm going to just, my crystal ball days are over. But it is flying against, against the face of what has been historical, the 6, 7, and 8 year cycle. I will say that there's a couple of reasons for that. Obviously, interest rates and COVID has had a lot to do with that as well. And for this reason, our feeder market in 2005, 6, 2004, our feeder market was California. And in this last run up, our feeder market has predominantly been the I-5 corridor. It's been Seattle. So, which is different. Californians obviously still coming, and they're still coming. People are coming from all over the world, but for the most part, Seattle has been our feeder market. And so if you think about it in these terms, that in last year around this time, actually maybe more like 15 months ago, Seattle, which is an incredible economy with really expensive housing, but one of the best job markets in the world. Seattle, those companies, a lot of them told their employees, go home. Go home. We're going to work from home. We're going to figure this out. And so they did that. And people went home, whether you're working for Zillow or Google or Microsoft or, pick your tech company, they went home. They're high paying jobs. And so they went home there in Seattle. And after a month or two, the spouses looked at each other or just they, told their friends or whatever, I hate it here. Why are we here? I don't even like living here. Yes, I'm making a lot of money, but now I'm working from home. Why would we stay? And so those people eventually started saying, well, let's get out of here and let's go to places like Sequim, Port Angeles, Forks. And so what we normally had in Sequim as a retirement population, and retirees predominantly, since we've been doing this and for a long time, retirees drive our market. They are our buyers and they are our sellers. People that work, they rent homes in Sequim. They basically, we had about 7% turnover with the retirement population on average. So that is people that need to move to, to downsize, people that need to move into assisted living, people that pass away, people that need to move away to be by grandkids, et cetera. And then the retirees that come in once they're set and they get to, begin their retirement, take their place. That was about a 7% turnover. Now we've got this an entirely new set of buyers that we never had before. Our average age of our buyer, we think in the last year, and I'd love to know this data for sure, but anecdotally, I can tell you from our office that the average age of our buyer has dropped about 10 years in the last 18 months. And that is because we've got young professionals coming here that we never had before. We just never had them. I remember a friend of mine who's a doctor here, when he first came here and I was showing him homes about 10 years ago, he asked, where do the young families live? And I said, the young families live in the Elk Creek apartments. That's where the young families in Sequim live, because you got the haves and the have-nots. The retirees are the ones with the money. The people that are working are workforce. It's an economy that doesn't have a lot of high-paying jobs. And so now all of a sudden with this COVID thing of people saying go home, and then they get to actually, if there is high-speed internet available to a property in Sequim, we are seeing those young professionals move here to Sequim. So all the things were the same there, the 7% turnover, now a whole new set of buyers. And that's why we have what we have. We have way more demand and we have very limited supply. And obviously when that happens, prices go up, and they go up a lot. We just haven't seen this type of appreciation before. If you look at that, that 488 it's unheard of. Okay.
So Michael,
Yeah.
what about new homes? So 7% turnover of existing typically in the Sequim market, and how many new homes are being built to add to that? And we're having Pam Rushton on. We're doing a whole housing series. This is one of about 5 or 6 we'll do. But so can you talk to that new home market?
I can only speak in general terms. I can't tell you how many are new. I can tell you there's not enough, and it's not close. We think we need about 2,000 more homes to handle the problem that we have. And it is a problem. When you have an economy here where most of the workers are making, anywhere from $15 to $20 an hour, and your median price is $488, you have a problem. When you have, my daughter is 18 years old and would love to not have to follow my rules in my home anymore. We would love for her to not have to be in our home and follow our rules anymore. There is no rental. There is, and if there is a rental, they're not going to choose an 18-year-old. So they are, they're looking around. She's got a couple friends. They're trying to figure something out. She's working at a local restaurant. She's going to be taking classes at PC, but it is a problem. We do not have enough. And in Sequim, I can tell you in particular, we have been saying for a long time, hey, we need to change the zoning that, frankly, Chris Hugo, our last city manager, came in and he had a vision, and that vision did not include multifamily. And so we have zoning issues here where the highest density we have is R4-8, which is 1 home site or 4 to 8 home sites per acre. We need a lot better than that. We need actual, some apartment buildings, definitely need multifamily. We need to solve this affordability problem, or we're going to turn into a Santa Barbara where only the wealthy people live there. Then you have all the service economy. They have to live in somewhere like Lompoc, where they are commuting 45 minutes to an hour. So it's got to be solved one way or another.
So real quick,
go
Chris
ahead.
Hugo was Director of Community Development, I think.
Sounds
He
good.
said city manager or something, but yeah, anyway, that was Charlie Bush.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds right. That's
yeah.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Planning department or whatever he was. And I
Yeah.
think, Barry has his job now.
Yeah.
But that was his vision. He wanted it to look like Seabrook. There's a problem when you don't have varying levels of housing for your population, obviously.
Mhm.
So average number when we look at and try to make comparisons historically, when we look at inventory and when we look at sales volume, we try to look quarter by quarter, because winter months, generally we have less sales, less inventory. When it gets warmer, we have more sales, people move more often. So
can you
here we are.
scroll up a little bit?
Yep.
We're not seeing the bottom of it. Okay, there we go.
Okay. So that is a look at our inventory. We track this at the beginning of each month to see what is available. And there you are, 578 homes on the market in the second quarter of 2009, down to 131 in the second quarter of 2021. So that puts a lot of pressure, obviously, on prices. So that's a 31% drop from last year, from the 191 homes that were for sale. I've got this, I don't know if you can see it, it says current inventory. And that was when I wrote this report, and that was 143 homes on the market, again, down 28%, median asking price of $529. Again, that's 12% over what it was that same time last year. And the average days on market, 36 days, median is 13. So I've got an update, and that is today. Today, our current inventory, and by the way, we look, the Sequim School District is basically our boundaries. So going to Jefferson County line over there at Diamond Point Road and Chicken Coop Road, and then over to Blue Mountain Road and Lewis Road to the west. That's the Sequim School District boundaries. We've got 170 homes on the market right now. Of those 170, 98 are pending. So that leaves only 72 homes to sell. That is more than it was when I wrote this report. So we have grown in our inventory a little bit, and hopefully that's a shift of more normal times and more inventory. The average asking price for a home in Sequim right now is $630,000. The median is $534,000. So this is, again, unprecedented times. Some things that are new in the real estate market, and this will go to Port Angeles and Forks as well. We've got a couple new phenomenons. One is this one. We tell sellers this all the time when we strategize on where you're going to price your home, because it's still our job when representing a seller to get them as much money as possible. And so there's a couple different ways to go about it. One of the things is you can price it to sell, in which case you basically you put an attractive price on it, and then say, we're going to look at offers in 6, 7, 8 days. So it gives the market time to go and see the home. You get real exposure. And then, as you're supposed to do in working on behalf of your seller, if you have 3 showings, you tell all those buyers and buyer agents that are going to show the home, you say, great, you're going to be our 3rd showing. And then the next day we say, hey, great, thanks for showing our home. We had 3 yesterday. We got an offer yesterday. And then the next day, we say, hey, by the way, we've got multiple offers. One of them's over the asking price. And then the next day, you're telling the truth, but you are doing what you're supposed to do on behalf of your seller, which is leverage that position. And oftentimes, by the time that offer review date comes, you now go back to all the people that have shown it, anybody showing interest, and you say, okay, here we are. We've got 4 offers so far. So, one of them is cash. 2 of them have escalation clauses. And then you talk about the other new things that buyers are doing to compete. And so you're basically, you're leveraging as you should for your seller. The new things that buyers are using to compete. One is first of all, cash is usually more attractive than a financed offer. Washington Realtors created a new form called the 22AD. AD stands for additional down payment. And that is for someone that is financing, that you say, all right, here's my offer for $600,000. The asking price was $575,000. We have an escalation clause that says I will beat the next best offer by $5,000, but go no higher than $625,000. I'm making these numbers up, but you get the gist. The 22AD is a form that says, although I'm getting financing, you should consider my offer over that cash offer that has similar terms, or maybe is less money, because my buyer is willing to put up X amount of money to make up the difference if the appraisal comes in low. So let's say the appraisal comes in $50,000 low. Well, if you've got a form 22AD that says my buyer will make up and put an additional $50,000 down on the down payment to make up for the low appraisal. And it's just a way to make your offer stronger. That's a new form, and it's very commonly used now in these multi-offer situations. Another one is people are waiving inspections, or more, which we don't like at all. We strongly advise against that with our buyers. But there is another thing that you can do, and buyers, we can give them that advice. But if you've lost out on 5 bids in a row and you're staying in a hotel, or in your friend's basement or whatever, they start doing things like escalation clauses, this form 22AD, and waiving inspections. Another is that they're doing pass-fail inspection, where they say, yes, we want to inspect it, but we're not going to ask for any repairs if you choose our offer. The other thing about I mentioned the escalation clauses. Annie Fitzsimmons is the lead attorney for Washington State Realtors, and she recently put out a video for realtors that says, hey, listing agents, we get it. The escalation clause is great. It shows the buyer's intent. But once you get that offer, that escalation clause in a multi-offer situation, cross out the escalation clause. Don't use it. Just counter. The buyer has shown you their intent. They've shown you how much they're willing to pay. We usually, pick up the phone and say, hey, we know your buyer said they'd go as high as $650. We're not going to show you the competing offer that pushes your escalation clause up. We're going to get rid of the escalation clause, but if we countered you at $640, would your client take it? And if they say yes, then we counter them at that number, get rid of the escalation clause, and go from there. It's new times, and it's unsettling, and there's the affordability problem is the part for me, just knowing that we've got haves and have-nots in Sequim, and it's going to be an issue if it's not already for a lot of people. Okay.
So,
go ahead.
we have 3 minutes left, and
Okay.
This is great information. I wish, and we can go a little bit longer if you guys are okay with that. Again, I'd like to hear from all of you on some of these questions that people have posed, but are you seeing that that people are accepting financing, and then also if they're accepting financing, the other thing is how often do you have many offers on a home? And is it, I know as a society, I think we worry about the folks that can't get into homes, whether it's rentals or having a long-term home, having a home so that they're building equity in their own home. And so, is that something that you're seeing as a problem, and is it due to VRBOs and investment properties?
I'll answer just short and let these guys take over. But yes, yeah, it's a problem. I'm part of the problem. I own a vacation rental. There's 900 homes, I believe, that are Airbnbs or VRBOs in Clallam County. That's 900 less units putting pressure on. That's people who have means, who are able to afford another home. And then who are they renting to? They're renting to other people with means. Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, happy to hear what Dave and Donna have to say.
I don't know.
The problem is so multifaceted that it's kind of hard to cover it in just a short period of time. I think the big question is, why are we where we are? VRBOs are a piece of it. Low interest is a piece of it. Flight from cities is another piece of it. Until some things change, we're going to be stuck here for a while. I think if people want to know, gee, are we about to change or whatever, they need to look at the Fed funds rate. When the Fed funds rate starts going up and interest rates start climbing, more and more people will be priced out of the market as far as buying a home. And then prices will either begin to level off, or they could do like they did in 2007 and just start going down. Who knows? No crystal ball here. So
thanks. Don?
Don, you're muted.
Sorry, I don't really have a lot to add to that.
Okay.
But because we're running short on time, I did notice that, and since this is real estate related to all of us, I did notice that Patty Morris mentioned that she has some update on foreclosures, which I think are relevant in all of our markets. If you think that would be appropriate.
Yeah, I would. And so, Patty, if you can share that, and then Angela, if you want to ask your question of all three of them. Go ahead, Patty.
All right, well, I exclusively handle HUD, Housing and Urban Development, USDAs, and VA foreclosures. I do some of the banks, but I do exclusively HUDs through Jefferson and Clallam County. I do VAs exclusively for both, and USDAs for Clallam County. I have at the moment, as you know, there hasn't been foreclosures. I've had a few, but not very many within the pandemic period. I can tell you that they are ramping up. I received my first HUD yesterday. They are working on those that are vacant at the moment, and they will be starting to issue those out. Right now, I have 434 Clallam County foreclosure properties where trustee sales have been filed, but could not go forward because of pandemic.
One second here. Hold on here. I'll try to mute that person. And okay, go ahead.
So I would say that once the foreclosures do start to go, you will see again homes coming on the market. The foreclosures, all of the federal agencies want them to be a 30-day under contract, quick closes. They will offer financing, at all those types of things, just like a standard home. But I do have 434 of those that will at some point hit our market.
And that's
There's
in-
certainly
In Clallam County? Wow.
in Clallam County. So VA has issued a notice to me that we are going to go back to veterans and offer cash for keys for any of those that are occupied to see if they want money to move. But I am not seeing any indication that any of them are going to proceed beyond September 30th. And I do see that they are going to start issuing, as I got one yesterday in Sunland, going to start issuing any of those that are vacant and they can proceed with are going to start coming on the market. But 434 is quite a lot of properties, which may have an impact on what's going on with our market because of the low inventory. So just wanted to give you an update on that.
Huh. And is there any way for those people that are behind on their mortgage payments to be connected with interested buyers before it goes into foreclosure? Where, you know, it seems like if the market's gone up dramatically, that you could connect so that they don't have to go through foreclosure. And, you know, then when it goes to a bank, it takes forever unless they've improved the process.
Many have already gone through foreclosure. And
Okay.
believe it or not, many of the federal foreclosures I get are reverse mortgages where someone has passed away. The family does not want to claim the property because of the cost. And so I do get a lot of the reverse mortgages. Many of the foreclosures have already taken place, and you have people living in the homes that are not the rightful heir to the properties.
Okay, I see. Thank you so much, Patricia.
Mhm.
So let's see, Angela, did you want to ask your question?
Sure. As a local business, hiring professionals into our area, this is a problem, housing, because we can't even find a rental for people. So this is just redundant to what everyone's basically been saying, but it doesn't sound like there's a solution necessarily to the problem that, you know, I've got to find a rental for someone that we just hired from out of state and there's nothing to find. I mean, it's kind of a scary situation. So this is going to impact business. It's going to impact employers. So if we're not, and we are a manufacturing business, you know, this is not a virtual business, unfortunately. So my question is, will the county step in and maybe create some laws that prevent these people from out of state buying properties when maybe there should be a priority on so many properties that house the people that we do have that can't find a place to live? I have two sons that are living in my house and they would love to move out, but they can't.
Right, right. So, you know, first off, I would, you know, talking to Patricia and that huge mass of properties that are going to be coming on the market, I wonder what percentage of the sales are going to investors versus actual homeowners? Dave, Don, or Michael, do you have any input there?
Yeah, I can't tell you what the percentage is. I mean, and I'm always hesitant to say, oh, let's pass a law that says you can't rent your property by the day. Kind of seems like that's a limitation on your ability to utilize your property the way you see fit. And it can become a slippery slope. And one other thing Michael said that is kind of interesting is there's just not enough houses being built. And the reason is construction costs are off the charts. I mean, when a sheet of OSB goes from $8 a sheet to $40 or $50 a sheet, it makes it impossible for a builder to build a house and compete. And then on top of it, all the government regulations before you can even get a building permit and all the cost of permits, it just makes it really, really tough for contractors. I mean, Port Angeles used to have lots of contractors building spec homes and stuff. There's only a few that do now, and they're not very big. I mean, they're not building 10 houses at a time. They're building one at a time. And that's a serious problem. How can the government help? Maybe we should be looking at the cost of permits and stuff as an investment in the future rather than charging big fees that we don't charge big fees, and we start collecting that as in future taxes.
So, John, you wanted to share the opportunity that you've been working on in Port Angeles?
Sure. And I'll only take a minute. So good morning, Colleen, and those that are here today. My name's John Ralston. First of all, I want to thank Colleen for all the work that she's done with the EDC and promoting the community. And she's certainly aware of this project and some other things I'm working on. So I own a piece of property that's at the northwest corner of 8th and I Streets. It's approximately 5.5 acres. And so what does 5.5 acres in the city mean? Well, it's bigger than the site where Safeway is, that's by the courthouse. It's larger than the former Albertson site up by Jefferson School. The property is zoned commercial shopping district, so it has a multitude of uses. It's just, will the project or combination of mixed use fit on the property? So in theory, you could build 400 apartment units on it. You could build 200 apartments on it, and some mixed use with small grocery stores, daycares, professional offices, dance studios, etc. There's utilities on the premise. There are streets on 3 sides. It's essentially 2 blocks away from Hamilton Middle School. It's approximately 5 blocks away from Hamilton Elementary School. It's approximately 5 blocks away from Stevens Middle School. Clallam Transit goes by there. Clallam Transit, it's stated they'll make some improvements and with where their stops are, or will at least discuss that with us. The city of Port Angeles has written a letter sort of endorsing some things. It's very close. It's like 2 blocks away from Shane Park. I do have some preliminary drawings of some different layouts that we thought would fit there. I will consider participating in a project, but I'm not going to be the lead person in it. With my advanced age, risk-taking becomes something of consideration for myself. You can get a hold of me through Colleen. And I forgot to mention, this property is also in an opportunity zone. And we have expertise that can talk to people about opportunity and some of the advantages, tax-wise, investment-wise, etc. But you can get a hold of me through Colleen. Dave Ramey certainly knows me. I see Jim Hagwood's here. Jim knows how to get a hold of me. My daughter, coincidentally, is a realtor with Windermere. And we're over our limit here by 15 minutes or so. If there's a quick question that Colleen wants to address, something, but otherwise I'm here to come back and we can present again or talk more detail.
Great. Thanks, John. I know that Randy Johnson is on, and he's been working in the task force on housing, or has he jumped off now? We had Nathan and Randy. It looks like they jumped off. So I was going to, or Lindsay, do you want to give the last word generally?
Well, this is great. Thank you all so much for presenting. I think a lot of the things that were brought up are issues that we're thinking about within the policymaking space, probably both of the cities and the county. And one of the things we need is just to continue to hear from people on what solutions government should be proposing. Obviously, at the local level, we don't control things like building supply prices, building codes, interest rates on loans and all that, but there's a lot that we can do at the local level that can help to improve this. I think we're on a good start, but we're catching up. And so that's really the big issue we're facing right now.
Well, thanks, Lindsay. I really want to thank Michael, Dave, and Dawn for their expertise and everyone's input. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get to all the questions, probably packed too much into one session, but next week, we're having Kevin Galacci from Clallam Transit speak, but then we're going to have Colleen Robinson talking about Habitat for Humanity. I think we're going to be having Sarah Martinez speaking on behalf of Peninsula Housing Authority, Pam Rushton talking about overall how assessments have been increasing and what's the new amount of new construction that's being added to the pie, and just generally how much property prices have been going up. They just can't believe it. They can't believe sales have been occurring at the prices that they have been. But also, Randy Johnson's going to be talking about the housing task force that he's been sitting on and what they're talking about, and basically the situation, the challenges, potential solutions, just to give us an overview of what policy options they're looking at and what are some of the challenges around that. So with that, I really appreciate everybody coming, and I hope you'll be able to join us on future Wednesdays in August and September. So thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, Colleen.
Thank you.